Hello, we're back and we're almost ready to spin. So now I'm going to put my bobbin on my wheel and my whirl and set my wheel up to spin. As we talked about in the beginning, each wheel is a little different, so you need to learn your own wheel. I'm going to drop my band where it needs to be. Okay. I think that's a little bit tight, so I'm going to adjust my tension just a little. Thread your orifice. Again, that is going to be dependent upon your own wheel. Okay, you've done a lot of practicing, you've done a lot of learning, and we're actually going to start making yarn now. I recommend for new spinners, I have 3 favorites that I like to recommend. This is by no means the only things that you can start with. You can start with anything with a longer staple. When I say longer, I think it should be 3 inches or more. Your staple length, you can determine. Sometimes you will need to open your top up just a little bit by just pulling the very end. So this would be a great beginning staple length. This is probably at least 4 inches long, and this is Blueface Leicester. I do think it's good for beginners, and I also recommend Romney and Corriedale. One of the things I suggest for a new spinner, it's just going to make it easier to draft, is to strip your top. So that just means pull out, I don't know, something roughly the size of your thumb, maybe a little bit thicker, and pull a smaller strip out. If during the dyeing process your wool did get compacted at all, that will help loosen it and it'll make it easier to spin for you. And also, it's just easier at first to have less to deal with going back and forth, so you can focus on going front to back while you're drafting. So we're gonna get ready and spin. Are you ready? I just want to tell you a couple things. First of all, you need to treadle very slowly when you start out. Next, hold your fiber with one hand and draft with the other. Now, it does not have to be the way I do it. I hold it with my right hand and draft with my left. I can go back and forth. So whatever feels the most natural to you, do that. One of the things I see new spinners do a lot is they hold their fiber and what they're drafting too close together and too tightly in the back. So if I'm trying to draft, I can't even do it because I'm pulling fibers that I've got a death grip on back here, and it won't come out. It's going to be a fight the whole time. We don't want that. So try to remember, it'll take some time and that's okay. Try to remember that your hands need to be farther apart than that staple length was, number 1. And number 2, your back hand does not have to hold tightly. I'm going to focus down at the spinning wheel and we're actually going to start spinning. I drafted out a small amount of my fiber. I will hook it into my loop, the loop that I made on my leader. Okay, so then I double it over just like this. Can you, yep, just like this. And then when it starts to twist, it will grab itself and close over that leader. So I'm going to draft out just a little more. So remember to treadle as slowly as you possibly can. The goal is to keep feeding your wool into your wheel. It's not just to keep drafting and hold on to it. You need to feed it and let it go in. So I'm going to go slowly. You're going to pinch and pull. So you will keep the twist from entering your fiber supply here. So your front finger is pinched. So what you will do is pinch and pull, pinch and pull, pinch, pull, pinch, pull. As you slide your drafting hand back, you let up a little bit of the pressure and then you pinch it and pull it towards the orifice of your wheel. Again, try to treadle just as slowly as possible at first and set your wheel up to go more slowly, and that will really help you get the hang of drafting. When you start, it's fine if you have a thick and thin yarn. In fact, it's really kind of neat to see your beginning yarns and watch yourself progress as you practice. You will have the best time doing this. It has been so much fun for me. A couple of things. There might be a time, especially if your wheel is adjusted so it's got too much uptake, which means it's actually pulling the yarn out of your hands. First of all, if that happens, lower that tension. And second, it could break off, okay? Did that freak you out? Don't let it. So if that happens and you need to reattach your wool, what I like to do is back my fingers up and let a little twist come out, just so I have a little bit more to work with. Take my wool supply. You can just below where you have your twist pinched up here, take your wool supply, go underneath and hold it against that single that you've been spinning. And then, see, I have it held together with my pinky and my ring finger. Start your spin, and then you're gonna grab a little bit of your wool supply with the single, and pretty soon you're attached. It's just that easy to do and reattach. Now, you probably won't sit and be able to do all of it. In fact, I don't really recommend you do that. I recommend you practice in 15 to 20 minute sessions for at least the first month or so, as often as you can. So that means at some point you're gonna need to stop. That's okay. Don't worry. You can do one of two things. So a lot of people separate their wool, reach back, and the wool that's on your bobbin will want to grab it. So you can literally just press it against and it'll stay. And it won't interrupt the smoothness of what you've got. And you can even do that and still leave it attached if you want to. So you could just, let me reattach it. So I'm reattached completely. You can just reach back, set this on your bobbin, and you're good to go. Then usually what I do if I'm doing it that way is just set the rest of my wool across the top. There's so many ways to do this. None of them are wrong. Whatever you find works for you. There are other people who might wind it right around this area of the orifice. You just park it wherever you need to park it. When you finish your first strip, you'll come back and get another and spin that, attaching it just the way I showed you. Once you have your singles all spun, we're gonna come back and ply this. I'm actually gonna split this in half. And spin the two halves each on one bobbin. So when I finish with this green, I will have two bobbins, 1 ounce each of singles, and then we'll come back and ply them.